It's 7 o'clock, and I'm almost past 7 o'clock, so we'll call the Village of North Hudson regular Board of Trustees meeting to order. It's Tuesday, 2 July at 7:01 p.m. Short invocation. Lord, our nation needs your guidance and direction, as does the village. We humbly ask that your Spirit intercede with the leaders of the nation and the village, giving them the wisdom to make decisions that will honor you. We pray fervently for peace both here and abroad. Let us live with reverence for you and with peace in our hearts for our fellow man. Roll call, please.
Trustees Head.
Here.
Leaf.
Here.
Matz.
Here.
Nelson.
Here.
Pike.
Here.
President Wecken.
Here.
Trustee Zeiss.
Here.
Okay, item 2, review and approve minutes from the regular board meeting of 4 June 2019. Is there a motion?
I move to approve the minutes from the regular board meeting of June 4th, 2019.
Thank
I
you,
second.
Kathy. Thank you, Lori. Is there any comments, discussion, or corrections with the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor as the minutes are presented, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. All right, here we go. Comments from the floor. This is an opportunity for the residents to make the board aware of topics, issues, and opportunities either on or not on today's agenda. And the first group I would like to invite is the North Hudson Watch Group. And for everybody's, if you're going to come up, you're going to speak, please step up to the microphone, give your name, address, and state your concerns.
Diane Zeiss, co-facilitator of North Hudson Neighborhood Watch and resident of Cherry Circle here in North Hudson.
Hi, I'm Diana Beagle, co-facilitator from Neighborhood Watch, and I live off of 703 4th Street North. And we're happy to report that our event, Safe Summer Send-Off, that was held on June 22nd, was a success. The weather held out. We didn't have thunderstorms, thankfully, and we had over 100 participants. So it was, for our first event, it was amazing, and we had a request for us to have an annual event after this. So just wanted to give you a thank you for your support of the event.
Outstanding. I'm glad you had a great turnout.
Thank you, and we'd also like to invite you to our next Neighborhood Watch meeting here at the Village Hall on Monday, July 15th, and every village resident is welcome to attend.
At 7
7
o'clock.
p.m.
You want to call out
Okay.
Lori's activity too? Sorry, are you back there? Yes.
As co-chair.
Yeah, so,
And we just want to point out, a lot of people put a lot of time, had some great volunteers, and our resident and friend, Lori Irwin, really spearheaded this event and the whole brainchild of it. So we can't go without thanking you, Lori.
Thank you, Lori.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay. Next, is there an opportunity for a resident to make comment?
Get some over here.
Make sure they all state their name and their address. Yeah,
Can we come up together? Is
well,
that okay?
there should only be
Well,
one
you're
speak.
still allowed the same amount of time, but I mean, if it's the same message, that would be wonderful.
Okay.
We don't all need to talk.
My name is Bryce Thorpe. I live at 232 Summers Landing Road North. I've been a resident here for just about 20 years this year, and I came before you in 2016 and voiced some concern. It was actually the result of meeting with Mr. Rickert here, and he suggested that I become involved in the process here. And the event was related to being threatened by individuals down at Ferry Landing Park. And they threatened to physically hurt me. They threatened to destroy my personal property, all because I was taking a couple pictures. Didn't say anything to them. They approached me. And this has all been documented back in 2016. So if you want to read it all, you can go back and read the minutes from the park board meeting. But as a result, I voiced my concern to the park board, and really as a result, they passed ordinance 1-2017, which somewhat restricted people's ability to park boats on the beach, bring gasoline down to the beach, etc. And unfortunately for us, it has had no tangible effect on certain boaters utilizing our park. And last time I checked, a park was supposed to be for the residents. Although it's public, let's face it, in the end, we're the ones paying for it. As you may or may not be aware, there's a group of close to 2,000 folks in Minnesota who think that our little ferry landing park is their headquarters. I've personally been threatened on multiple occasions, been sworn at, and frankly, I don't go down there anymore. Frankly, I don't even use my own beach anymore, based on the harassment and the threats that I've received from these folks. I won't go into all these things here, but I've spoken to the chief about this on multiple occasions. I've spoken to the sheriff's department. I've spoken to the DNR. And although they all seem sympathetic, and thank you to the park board members at that time, they listened as well. But in the end, it got watered down to some politically correct ordinance, which is seemingly unenforceable, given our police staffing and the nature in which they operate. The noise is incessant, and frankly, they take over our little park every weekend. The entire beach is packed, and our residents can't utilize it. It's silly. It's troubling, frankly.
Right.
And
We've got a lot of folks that want to talk. And
All right,
We're
so-
very much aware of a lot of this, and I'm sure this.
Here's the deal. You guys can do one thing. You can amend 1-2017 to say no boats parked on the beach or the pedestrian mall, and you can say no anchoring. And if there's one thing you guys can do, that's what I asked you to do. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I'm John Borup from 242 Summers Landing Road. We've been here 30 years. When we first came here, we would frequently take our sons down there. They're now grown and have given us grandchildren. We used to take grandchildren down there. We don't anymore because it's not safe. And it's very irritating. You all know we pay pretty significant taxes here. That our beach, as described by Bryce, has been taken over by people from Minnesota, almost all of them. The beach isn't safe for families when they're there. We respectfully ask that you do something about it. Charge a fee for non-residents. We're the only free outfit within, 20 miles? It's not, the noise is terrible.
Thank you.
I'll be quick, Stan. My name is Darrell Score. I've been here in the village, my wife and I, for 40 years come this November. So we've seen a lot come and go. And one of the things that I've tried to do is kind of keep at arm's length on this issue, even though the noise, the key word, the noise, has been very disrupting. So I finally decided I better stand up and say I'll join the group because I really think they have something to be said and be heard, and something positively could be done by you people. So I just wanted to support them. Thank you.
And I'm Jennifer Borup from 242 Summers Landing Road North. And I just want to add, as a grandmother who can't we live immediately over the beach, and we can't use it. And not only can we not use that, we can't use our deck on the weekends when the jet skis are there because it's so loud. And there are ordinances against loud, obnoxious noise, public nuisance. And I think what we need is enforcement. And I don't care who they are. I don't care if they're my next door neighbor out down there. they're really ruining where we live to some extent. We have a little wonderful place, but we can't use what we've paid for because the jet skis are so obnoxious and so persistent all day, hour after hour. And they bring a big boat out, the boat does a circle, and then they go out and turn and they jump the wake. And they're race jet skis, so they're noisy. They're not your run-of-the-mill. So this isn't just some nice guy with a jet ski. This is a club that goes down, terrorizes the neighborhood. Nobody's taking their kids down, even on the docks that are their docks along the coast there. Their grandkids won't go down there because they're so afraid of the noise of it and the motion of it. So we need enforcement of what the rules are, regardless of who those people are. We need enforcement. We need your help with that. Thank you.
You can slide down.
Darren Finch, Station Circle North. Along with these guys, I'm not right over the beach, but I'm down, or actually I'm north of the beach, I guess. And the boat that these guys hire to go back and forth, now there's two of them. They'll go within 60, 70 feet of our dock, creating a 3-foot wake, and they do it all day Saturday, all day Sunday, and then behind that boat, you've got sometimes 10, sometimes 12, these stand-up jet ski guys. And I'm a sea doer. I don't even go after some of these big waves anymore, like I used to, because these guys kind of take it over. So, I mean, I see their point of having some fun behind a boat, because I do it. But I'm not hiring a boat to go back and forth. And these guys are actually, that boater is responsible for the damages his wake occurs. And 25, 30 trips a day, back and forth, our dock is starting to show the fact that he's doing this. So, anyway.
Thank you.
Yeah, something needs to be done about it.
I'm Jim Olszewski. I live at 631 Galahad Road, right on the river, and I've had 2 of my spuds broke off by these crazy people in their wake on my dock. The spud holders have been cracked. The welder had to be there today. Going to take another week to get it done. But the huge waves that they create, and they do go close to shore, they don't have any respect for anything or anybody. It's just a pain in the ass.
Thank you.
I'm Ralph Swenson, 707 Galahad Road. My wife and I have lived in our home for 30 years now. We did expect some noise, but frankly, not this level and not this consistently. The other 2 things that we're concerned about is the closeness to shore with which they operate their personal watercraft and erosion that's happening on our beach. If it hadn't been for some riprapping, I think our property would be at some risk. The second thing that concerns me is I don't know where they learn to drive, but I think they're a danger to other people on the river from what Marlos and I have observed watching them operate. It's jumping wakes, and you can come in behind a boat to jump the wake, and there can be another one coming and bow on and almost hit you. We did expect some noise, but I would just plea, what we didn't expect was to have a filling station on our beach in the park. We're the second place south of the park, and I just don't think that's fair to allow that to essentially have a filling station there. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone on any other topic? Well, okay. We'll move on. Thank you very much for your comments, and the board is listening. I will guarantee you that. Number 4, application for conveyance of land filed by Ben and Don Abram. Approval requested.
Stan, can I move to approve the application for conveyance of land between the adjoining properties of Ben and Don Abram at 1264 10th Street North and Gary and Janet Johnson at 1298 Cratley Lane North?
Thank you, Brian. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Discussion? Nothing? No questions?
I don't know if the
comments?
parties are here.
What's that?
I don't know if, I think they're here if you
They're
guys
there,
have any
yeah.
questions for
Yeah,
them.
I mean, if you have any questions, it's a simple just land transfer, yes?
Yes.
And plant, everything was good with it, so if there's no questions or comments from the board, because I know my board always reads their packets and stuff, so they're well prepared for this. So, all in favor of the application as requested, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Thank you. Unanimous? Done. Okay. It's like item 5, amended class parent B / parent class B liquor license for extended premises, approval requested. Or for the Village Inn, Saturday, July 27th, approval requested.
Stan, can I move that the Class B retail license for the sale of fermented malt beverages and intoxicating liquors for Village Inn be temporarily amended for an event taking place Saturday, July 27, 2019, from 12 p.m. to midnight with the following conditions. Number 1, area outside the building to be completely enclosed with secure fencing to be accessed only from near the main entrance of the building. Use of alcohol shall remain within the building or fenced-in area. Number 2, use of outside area only with specific permission of the village board for each particular date and event. Number 3, owner to provide equal amount of adjacent substitute off-street parking while parking lot area is fenced during time of event. Maintain the no parking alley between the Village Inn and Zappa Brothers for emergency vehicle and Village Public Works traffic during the event. Number 4, owner to be responsible for band music volume and outside music to end no later than 10 p.m.
Thank you, Brian. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Is that Kathy? Thank you. Is there discussion? I believe this is an event that is that folks in the village might want to be aware of. It's a fundraiser to help with Pepper Festival and the property that they've just recently acquired, and they would like to try to get some funding because they're looking at building a community center on that property once we if we can get funding and stuff together, which would be a wonderful addition to this part of the park and to the village. So that being said, all in favor of the amended Class B for the Village Inn, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Item 6, adoption of ordinance 2-2019 to restrict possession of electronic nicotine delivery systems and non-nicotine vapor products and devices by persons under the age of 18. Approval requested. Is there a motion?
I so move, Stan.
Thank you, Tim. Is there a second?
Second. Either one. We'll flip for it.
No wrestling. Thank you. Is there any discussion?
Where's this coming from?
Crickets.
I assume you were looking at me for that.
Yes, sir.
The Public Safety Committee reviewed this at their last meeting. It comes from a look at what other agencies and meeting with the chiefs in the area, talking about some of the concerns that they've had with their schools and possession, and the fact that currently there is no state law that prohibits someone from purchasing it and then selling it to an underage person. And so to have that in place so that we don't have underage people with the vape products that have who knows what in them. And as you can read at the top of the resolution, there's some information about the health effects or the unknown health effects and some of the things that are coming into play, as well as being consistent with our neighbor to the south. The city of Hudson has this identical ordinance that they've had in place for a couple of years. They obviously have a high school in their jurisdiction, which creates some more of a problem with enforcement. We typically have not seen anything in our elementary school of this nature, but the potential that it could be there, and that school rules are school rules, and whether or not there is anything that we could use from village ordinance stand by to make sure that we don't have sales to person under the age of 18. Now, a lot of the companies in the area, the Freedom Station, those types of things have their own policies in place that they won't sell to a person under the age of 18, but that doesn't mean someone 18 years old can't go in and buy it, walk out the door and sell it to a person that's 17, because there is no state statute with regard to that. And so we're asking that the board put in place something that we can use to protect our youth.
Does the county have the same stance?
I don't know what the county stance is.
So will the sheriff be able to help enforce this?
The sheriff can't enforce any of our ordinances regardless.
Okay.
Good question.
Any questions?
Seems common sense to me.
I'm nicotine underagers, I mean, yeah, we don't need to help that, and it also it helps the chief to be able to, I mean, if there is an infraction, that we have something on the books in order to stop it. Okay, it's an adoption of an ordinance, so Kathy?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Abstain.
Yes.
And yes.
Okay, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 1 abstention. Okay, item 7, new business from the board or staff, and the first is president's comments, and the only thing I have for the month is I hope everyone has a safe, a happy Independence Day on the 4th of July, and please be considerate when celebrating, as far as discharging your fireworks and stuff like that. There are many pets that have issues with fireworks, and there's people that actually have to go to work in the morning. So 1, 2 in the morning for fireworks is, I mean, let's be little common sense and respectful of your neighbors, please. And your neighbors go a long way away when you're shooting some of these fireworks off, because they are loud. So, and then also, just a reminder, this weekend is Hudson Booster Days. Our friends to the south, they have wonderful, starting, I think, tomorrow. They start with the carnival and stuff and go through Sunday. Their fireworks display is on Friday night at dusk, and I hope and the parade is at 11, so on Saturday. So I hope everyone has a wonderful 4th of July, and support the boosters. They do a lot of good things for our youth in the area. Melissa?
Nothing for me tonight.
Really?
No.
No elections?
No elections.
All righty then. Next item is the Plan Commission. Chair update. Mike's here, so welcome. Good to see you again.
Thank you. I had to say hi to Daryl Score. I succeeded him many, many years ago. He used to be the chair of the Plan Commission. We had a meeting last month, and the only topic was the preliminary plat application to create the Ridges Second Edition, a major subdivision containing 32 lots on 10th Street in the Ridges subdivision. We had met with that group a couple months earlier for like a preliminary, a concept plan meeting. They presented what they had in mind. The Plan Commission gave some suggestions, and they came back then at our last meeting with their preliminary plat application, and they incorporated several of the changes we had asked for. It was a public hearing. We had 3 or 4 people, members of the public, speak. They had questions. When I asked them if their questions were all answered, I believe they all said they were. And so we decided to give it to you. We approved it, recommended approval to you. And so
No, sounds good.
looks like they're twin homes. Some will have basements, some are on, but I mean, you have the whole package, and if somebody else wants to talk about it, but otherwise, Kevin, the village engineer, answered a lot of your questions about water and all that stuff, so.
Yeah, no, I thought the packet was very well put together. I mean, and all the information I needed was there. I mean, how about the board? Anybody have questions or comments?
I have a question about the streets 10th. Is there going to be a connection between 10th and Cratley with there will be future additions besides the second one, and just thinking about traffic and Jensen Park there with neighbors that bring their children there, just wanting to keep that neighborhood friendly to pedestrians, and was wondering about the.
I might not call that. Kevin, can you answer that?
Yeah, and Derek is here as well.
Okay, perfect.
You got a map.
A big map.
Basically, there will be a connection point to the north, and that'll connect to that Adams Drive, and that's actually in the township, so there will be another connection point as
Probably have
part
to go
of.
up there with that one. If you've
So
got
the
him on
camera can
camera,
see
then
it.
you'll,
Yeah.
it'll be easier so you can show them both. You know,
Yeah, that
as
sounds good.
Kevin's talking, you can point out that.
So as part of this addition, we're gonna be extending from Vale Way North, heading to the north, it's probably about 1,000 feet, and it'll actually connect up to Adams Drive, which is in the township, currently. As part of this addition that we did a number of years ago, there is a future road, gonna be extended to the east. That'll be part of the Zappa development. And when that parcel does come in, we will require them to have another connection point out to Cratley Lane, so,
Okay, thank you.
yeah, so there is, provisions for that in the future, so.
Hey, questions, anybody?
So who is on the village, who's responsible? I mean, I talked to Patrick and Public Works is happy. Looks like everything's being done right. But who's responsible for making sure the project is being handled properly, from lights being put up right, to fire hydrants in the right spot? Who from the village is responsible for that? That's the first time I got on the board, Derek. We had some issues with some curbs and some lights, and we didn't know, because we were new, who was responsible for making sure that they're doing the right thing.
So basically, there will be a developer's agreement that's executed. That'll be the mechanism for, having a surety, just like what we did for the Artisan North development here a couple of years ago. And typically, that's kind of a group effort amongst, village engineer, staff, just to ensure that all the public improvements are to what, is proposed as part of the construction plans that are approved, and will be part of the developer's agreement, so.
So who manages the developer's agreement, or who keeps an eye on it?
So that'll be an effort that, the village attorney will be drafting up and reviewing along with myself. So, there's a number of people that'll be reviewing that and approving it. And again, it'll be just pretty much the same thing as what we did with Artisan North development a few years back.
Okay, and when does it start?
I believe they're looking at, late summer, early fall to actually start the improvements themselves. They're trying, getting all their approvals in place now. There's, a grading permit, sewer and water extension permit that they'll need from the DNR, just getting those all in order. But from my understanding, they like to do it this construction season.
There's another step that comes to Plan Commission before they start digging dirt, right?
Yeah.
This is preliminary plat.
Yep, preliminary plat, there'll actually be a final plat that'll be,
And that comes back to us?
that'll come to the Plan Commission and then the village
Okay.
board. Yep.
Great.
Yeah, and they can't start till the development agreement's signed and they get the surety in place and get the permit.
Yeah, it's just that when I started, we didn't know who to talk to, because we had so many new people about some issues that were happening in the current development. At the time, that was 4 years ago, and I didn't know who to turn to. And I just wonder who's responsible from the village point of view to make sure the developer's agreement is being followed.
Yep, and that's a combined effort between the engineer and the attorney. Really, he has the expertise to see if it's constructed per plan, and, I deal with the legal documents that enforce that, so.
And then, last thing, how fast do these go up? Do they go up as they sell, or do you put them all up at once and sell them, or how does that work? Just curious.
Michael Derrick. I live here in town at 959, actually in one of the townhomes down at the bottom of the hill. They will, to answer your question, we will not be building them and just build and hope someone will come to purchase them. We will build them as agreements are signed with individual clients to build them. So, we're based in Richmond, just for instance. We started a similar, almost identical in the city of Richmond. We started it on June 1st. We put in 30 units. We will be sold out of those 30 units by the end of the month. And that's how fast they went this past year.
Wow.
So.
Thank you.
And we didn't expect that, so we don't,
I see on this you have future plans. Is there any idea that we might add a park or anything to that area for community to grow around that?
The park's already there, Kurt.
Yeah. Or are we gonna add anything to it?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Okay.
The park's a really nice, large park
so
as it is now.
It's our best park.
Okay, it is, yeah, so, all right.
There will be a walking path going over on the eastern side, for a future one down.
Yep.
And I was curious, the street, they wanted to call it 10th Street?
Yeah, there was quite a discussion about that.
Seriously? 10th Street is, there's so many renditions of 10th Street. That looks like it's breaking 90 degrees off at 10th Street. Is that true or not true?
That was one of our
10th
comments.
is down there. All right,
Yeah.
what's the big street then?
Vale going up.
Yeah, Vale Way.
It continues on.
So 10th Street comes out right here. Yep. And then Vale Way
Here's
goes
10th down
so
here,
it's a
and it's just
continuation through the
gonna keep
intersection.
going north from there.
Makes sense. And so when it gets up to connecting to the township, are they going to change their street to 10th Street?
No.
No.
It's like 2nd and 6th Street when you come into North Hudson.
Well, the reason I bring it up is years ago, I've been in my house 34 years, and I'm on a horseshoe, all right? And the horseshoe comes up, and on my side of the street, it's Cedar Drive. Directly across the street, there's a signpost that says Prairie Drive this way, Cedar Drive that way. And when you put, how many numbers are you going to have? How far out's that's going to go? For us, it affects us if we wanted to change numbers and streets, because that affects everything with your mail. But out here, this is new development. I was just curious, because I thought it was coming off that way, but now that it's continuance at 10th Street, and Adam Drive is out into, Edgewood?
Yep.
Okay.
Before it came to the plan commission, when we discussed it quite a bit, they had it at Public Works. So that's who's finally gonna make the decision. Public Works should do that.
We'll see what
Not
kind
the
of,
developer making the thing or the plan commission.
we'll see if we got more letters or numbers for the signs, I suppose. Then we can take
Are
from
we,
there.
are we doing the combined mailbox thing?
Yes, that's one of the conditions.
Great. Thank you.
That's in the motion.
And I think commonly you've done that.
Yeah, in fact, we have 2 of them down the bottom of the hill now.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Is that 12 gang, 12?
There you go, Patrick.
At my house, it's a 12 loaded box, and it's the nice thing is that if you're sending mail, it's locked. If you're getting mail, it's locked, so that, you don't have the tampering of the mail that a lot of people have with the other boxes and stuff. Plus, the $400 or $500 ones that they put up there the other time, that, we don't have money to pay for those if somehow they get knocked over or something like that. So, no, I love the idea of gang boxes. I'm glad you guys put that in there.
Thank you.
Okay, that should be good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so then we got
So is there a motion?
your comments or questions from anybody? That's on the agenda?
We need to move it.
Please, name and address.
Name is Ron Reichleger, 1232 10th Street. I just wanted to query how many cars, additional cars, when they're all built out, do you project coming through there down 10th Street? Because I don't think they're going to be going up through that Adams thing to get out to 35.
No, they're not, because that's points around.
Yeah, you got a traffic study or anything?
On this.
Oh,
Typically per household, there's usually about 6 to 7 trips that's generated on a daily basis. So if you have 30 different units, you're a couple hundred trips per day, I would say. coming in and out.
And again, that's my concern with the traffic in a neighborhood where there's a park that draws families and kids.
The number one thing we do on plan commissions, when something like this comes up, is it's always traffic. And we always ask the engineer, have they looked at the traffic? And you've looked at the traffic and the road can handle it at this time.
Yeah, capacity-wise, the road can definitely handle it.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
So,
Kevin?
Stan, I'd like to move to recommend approval of the preliminary plat application and the general development plan to create the Ridges Second Edition, a major subdivision containing 32 lots located on 10th Street North in the Ridges subdivision, with the following conditions. Number one, a developer's agreement shall be prepared and executed between the developer and village, which outlines the terms and conditions of the subdivision prior to commencing construction. Number two, all public improvements that are constructed by the developer shall carry a 2-year warranty running in favor of the village from the date of final acceptance by the village. Number three, all appropriate village, St. Croix County planning and zoning and WIS DNR approvals shall be obtained and forwarded to the village prior to commencing construction. Number four, construction specifications shall be provided to the village for review prior to commencing construction. Number five, street light locations along with details shall be provided for review. Number six, a mass grading plan showing the grades for the streets, sidewalks, twin homes, driveways, and walking paths. Number seven, provide sizing calculations for the proposed storm sewer. Number eight, name the street 10th Street North. Number nine, vary the colors and finishes of the roofs and exteriors. Number 10, install a cluster mailbox in one centralized location.
I would, with the cluster mailboxes in one location, I would like to say perhaps that they separate them down the street rather than one spot. If, you know, I would.
Two locations work?
Suggest it.
Yeah, we have, before discussion, Stan, I'll take a
Oh,
second, I'll
all right.
second that.
All right, we need a second before I can.
Yep, and I'll second that, Tim did.
Tim seconded.
Okay, all
So
right.
you move to amend the motion.
I would move to amend the motion to have the mailbox. Everybody's, you know, somebody's not walking, you know, from one end of the park or the other, and then three people get, oh no, you get an association, so you don't have to worry about Palooza snow. I do at my house because mine is in front of my house. But no, I would suggest that we have in not one location, but like two or three locations.
How about we just say multiple locations?
Yeah.
So amend, install, number 10, install a cluster mailbox in multiple locations.
So are you seconding his?
I'm seconding that.
You vote on the amendment
All right,
first.
so motion and seconded, we're good?
Yeah, I just need to vote.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor of the Ridges preliminary development plat in plan, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Next.
I'm waiting for my
I
computer.
got it. Stan, move to approve upgrading the current MSI accounting software to version 12.0 with a cost not to
Oh,
exceed.
claims first. Okay.
$81,581.49.
Thanks, Kirk. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Kathy, comments or questions other than the side marks?
It's a tough one.
Hearing none. Tim?
Yes.
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 Yes?
Yes.
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 Unanimous, thank you. Okay, now, I guess you can go, Brian.
Go ahead, Brian.
Software accounting.
Stan, move to approve upgrading the current MSI accounting software to version 12.0 with a cost not to exceed $4,000 to be paid for from the unassigned funds. In addition, amend the 2019 budget to reflect this purchase.
Thank you, Brian. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any comments or questions? Melissa, give a little quick background, or has everybody read their packet, I'm sure, but,
They may have any questions. Basically, we have version 6.0 at this time, and we get updates each year for year end, but we haven't had an upgrade to the version, so we need to upgrade to 12.0 to do year end this year, because they will no longer support the current version that we have.
thank you. And, No other comments or questions, as also spending. Kathy?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes?
Yes.
Yes.
And yes.
Thank you. All right. Number 10, Public Works Committee recommendations. Brian, you're up.
Stan, we did meet. The one thing that isn't on here is that we had, since it is private property, we have left the discussion with the property owners, with our engineer and director to remediate that issue with water flowing off their property faster than we thought it would or should, and going over Galahad. So that there is work and discussions in process, and we're going to be receiving updates from our engineer and our director. Then 2 items to bring forward. We have the catch basin and manhole repair. We're recommending having Everlast Rehab Repair and Flex Seal catch basins and manholes in the village with a cost not to exceed $11,000.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you, Phil. Comments or discussion? Hearing none. Some money. Tim?
Yes.
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 Yes?
Yes.
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 Thank you. Okay, next.
The other thing that came to our attention was from our engineer and again our director of public works was there is a WisDOT STP urban grant, and we're seeking an approval, and there's a map in your package to show what we're talking about, and I'm asking Kevin to come up and explain what we're looking to do.
All right, so this application just came out, I say, within the last month. Same program that you're using for the Wisconsin Street project that's going to be constructed in 2022. One of the major things with this grant is it has to be a collector street. And like Brian had said, there was a map provided. There's only a number of streets that would meet that requirement. Cradley Lane, 4th Street, Summers, Michelson, Monroe, and Wisconsin Street. Patrick and I went through and looked at all of them, kind of looked at the needs. You know, the PACER rating is one of the bigger items that we look at just to see where that sits. Utilities is another big component, how old they are, what the pipes are, hydrant spacing. And one of them that stood out in our eyes was the Monroe Street from Lemon to Helen Street. Right now, it's basically just a rural section. You do have sidewalk on Helen Street, and you have sidewalk over by the school. One of the thought is with this project, we'd have a connection sidewalk between those two pieces. We didn't notice a lot of hydrants in that area. The water main itself is only 6-inch, so it would be upgraded to an 8-inch for looping purposes and water quality issues. So we came out with a recommendation to, I guess, apply for this grant. That would include the design and construction component of it. And currently, that's an 80-20 split, and that's for the eligible items. So that's like the storm sewer, the curb and gutter, the street, the sidewalk, those items. Anything to do with the sewer and water component would still be just like the Highway 35 project and the Wisconsin Street. That would be 100% locally funded. So that application is due of October of this year, and then the sunset clause of when you would truly have to have it constructed if you awarded those funds would be in 2026. So it's still a number of years out, but it's quite a process, as you've seen with the Wisconsin Street, just to get to a point where you're actually doing the construction portion of it, so.
So that particular.
Stan, can I make a motion on this before we ask him questions? I just wanted him to explain what we're talking about. So I'd like to move that we approve the WisDOT STP-urban grant application for, do we want to call it Monroe?
Yeah,
For Monroe
Street.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you, Larry. My question is, the curb and gutter and sidewalk issues.
Yep.
I know, years ago, there was quite a big to-do over curb and gutter and sidewalk on, Helen Street.
Yes.
And, I'm just curious is curb and gutter required per the STP grant? Or is it, that's a nice, because it looks like everything there is run off into the, natural
Yep.
runoff.
Yep. Yes, there would have to be certain design standards that you would have to meet, and certain width of streets, and for the Helen and St. Croix project, that was a 30-foot, 34-foot face-to-face street width that's required, so yes, there would be curb and gutter required for this project.
Okay, I'm just curious.
Yep. So,
Any other questions? Hearing none, let's see, approval, just looking for a grant. All in favor of the motion to apply for the grant for DOT SDP urban grant, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Alrighty. Public safety, Tim, you got anything for us?
Stan, we did meet, and our only action was carried forward. The only action we had was carried forward already, so we're fine.
All right, thank you. Number 12, Public Welfare Committee, Kirk.
We did not meet.
Okay, how about Park Board?
Nope.
Not meet. Okay. Turn it over. All right. It is now time for us to convene into closed session to discuss some purchase of public properties or investing in public funds or, with respect to water and sewer. And we also have one on there to discuss the EMS services with Hudson. So at this time, you are all free to
We gotta move.
go enjoy your evening.
Have
It's
to move to
beautiful
go into
out
closed
there.
session.
We need a motion and a
I
second.
move to go into
Okay.
closed session, Stan.
Thank you, Kathy.
I second.
Thank you, Lori.
And then vote.
That's it.
And then vote.
And we gotta go, we have to do it individual or all in favor?
All in favor?
You can do a voice vote, just all in favor.
All in favor of closed session, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Chief.
Hey, Chief.
So you say give him a